So let me first begin with what is physics all about? Uh, Study of motion, main study of main measurements. हाँ ये अभिजीत ने थोड़ा सही बोला है. लैंग्वेज ऑफ वर्ड क्या होता है भैया? अच्छा, मैं डर गया. मैंने ये नया चीज कहाँ से आया? हाँ नहीं, चलो मैं बता रहा हूँ. There was a physicist. I wonder if you have heard his name, or maybe I have mentioned. His name was Feynman. नाम सुना है कभी Feynman का? Richard K. Fineman. Okay, now, unfortunately, we are never going to discuss the work that he did because it is way beyond our scope. He worked in the Manhattan Project. So, Feynman ऑडियो नहीं क्लियर है ऐसा ना बोलो यार. सुनो, तेरा कनेक्शन नहीं सही है मनीष. अगर ऑडियो नहीं क्लियर है तो लॉग आउट एंड कम बैक इन टू द रूम. अरे 110 MBPS है तो क्या हुआ भाई? बाकी लोग का क्लियर है. So there was this physicist called Richard Feynman, and he supposed to be just below Einstein. Right? So Einstein did some path-breaking work. Feynman did some path-breaking work, and the work that Feynman has done, we will not be exposed to it because it is beyond our scope. But maybe in your future studies, you will come across the work that he has done. So Richard Feynman is our contemporary. Right? He died in 1986 or 1987. So he is supposed to be one of the best teachers of physics as well, and he has his lectures have been transcribed into a series of books called Lectures on Physics by Richard Feynman, and I hope that someday you will read the books. They are very enlightening. Right? They are not useful for us. At our level, they are absolutely not useful. But maybe sometime in the future, you will read his books and appreciate what a good teacher he was. So somebody asked him about physics, and this was the answer that he gave. Right? He says that supposing that there are two people who are playing chess, and we as intelligent observers are allowed to observe. Right? So you are allowed to observe. You cannot talk to the people. You cannot disturb the game. The two people will keep on playing their game, and you don't know anything about chess. We don't know. We are observing the two guys. We are observing the two players of chess, but we ourselves are unaware of the rules of the game. Right? For us, it is something absolutely new. So Feynman says that given enough time and intelligence, you should be able to figure out the rules of the game, right? Should be able to figure out the rules of the game. So basically this is what we are doing. हाँ, जैसे मैंने बोला, मैंने पहले बताया हुआ है, but again I want to just say this. So this is what we are doing in physics. We are observing nature. We are allowed to observe. We are allowed to experiment. And we are trying to figure out the rules of the game. So the simple rules of the game we can figure out very easily. जैसे चेस में पॉन आगे बढ़ता है, one step आगे बढ़ता है. So simple rules we can work out very easily. The complicated rules, there we face a problem. तो पॉन जो है वो पहले फर्स्ट मूव में 2 स्टेप्स आगे बढ़ सकता है, या फिर जैसे कास्टलिंग होती है, राइट? तो यू थिंक यू हैव फिगर्ड एवरीथिंग आउट एंड सडनली वन प्लेयर डज कास्टलिंग एंड यू आर लाइक, अरे ये क्या हुआ, अच्छा ये भी एक रूल. तो यू sort of write it down in your list of, you add it to the list of rules that you have already written down. Right? And this process keeps on continuing. So this is what we are going to do in physics. We are going to observe and we are going to conclude that as per our observations, this is a law of nature. And then ultimately we are going to use these laws of nature to solve problems in which things are unknown, right? So given a situation, then using laws of nature, I should be able to predict what is going to happen, right? Predict is a wrong word. I should know what is going to happen, because whatever is going to happen is going to follow some mathematical rules and regulations. So since physics is all about observation, right? Let's observe. क्या दिखाई दे रहा है आपको? What can you see right now? Since physics is all about observation, what can you see right now? क्या चीज दिखाई दे रही? क्या क्या चीजें दिखाई दे रही? स्क्रीन दिखाई दे रही. हाँ, ये बात तो सही है. और क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? कार्स दिखाई दे रही हैं. शौनक, तेरे को कार कहाँ दिखाई? अच्छा, खिड़की से. बुक दिखाई दे रही है, लैपटॉप दिखाई दे रही है. No, साइंटिस्ट का नाम, that is not an observation. What are the material things? What are the objects that you see? ग्लास दिखाई दे रहा है. फोटॉन्स अटैकिंग माय रेटिना. तेरे को दिखाई दे रहा है फोटॉन्स, एक एक फोटॉन दिखाई दे रहा है मेरे को. नोटबुक. माउंटेन किस अभी तो कहाँ, मतलब जम्मू कश्मीर में है क्या? हाँ, ओके. So let me write what you observe. ब्रेकफास्ट दिखाई दे रहा है क्या? मुझे नहीं दिख रही. क्या बना है भाई ब्रेकफास्ट में? घर के सामने पहाड़. मिल्क शेक पी रहे हैं भैया. चलो, so what you see around you is all matter. Yeah, right? जितनी चीजें आपने लिखी हैं मेरे को, जितनी चीजें आपने लिखी हैं अभी, कार और आलू पूड़ी और मिल्क शेक, जितनी चीजें, दे आर ऑल मैटर, राइट? ठीक है ना? They are all matter, yeah? Okay. Now, what can you see right now in your room, in your surrounding, which cannot be classified as matter? What can you see right now which is not matter? Light. Very nice. Yes. Energy. Yes. So, you can hear a sound. That is definitely not matter. You can see the light from the laptop or from the screen of the device. That is not matter. Okay. So we can, yeah, you can feel heat, which is not matter, right? Emotions. अबे physics पढ़ रहे हैं यहाँ पे, समझे, right? So matter and energy. फैन की हवा जो है वो मैटर है, राइट? मैटर के 3 स्टेट्स होते हैं, याद है? Radiation from your Wi-Fi is energy. So whatever you observe right now is matter or energy. Can you tell me something that exists there in your room which is neither matter nor energy? फिर वही बात, नॉलेज और इमोशन, ये सब बकवास नहीं करना है, फिजिक्स पढ़ रहे हैं. डार्क मैटर, चुप. व्हाट इज एयर इज मैटर, रजत भाई. पुट लाइट इज, क्या बोल रहा है, आर एक्शंस, फिर से वही. डेटा इज एनर्जी, मोशन इज एनर्जी. वैक्यूम कहाँ दिखाई दे रहा है? गामा रेज एनर्जी होती है, इंफॉर्मेशन एनर्जी होती है, शैडो एनर्जी होती है. What is there in your room? Very nice. तुलिका ने बहुत बढ़िया. Very nice. Yes. Time. Okay. Time. अरे shadow is lack of energy ना भाई. और ये श्रीकांत ने next answer दिया है. Very nice. Yes. Very nice. Space. Okay. Now, if you think about it, however hard you try, there is nothing around us which is beyond these 4 things. Our whole universe is literally made of these 4 things: matter, energy, time, and space. Right? We like to think about it as that space and time is the arena in which matter and energy exists, right? And the laws of nature are basically telling us how matter and energy will interact with each other in this physical reality of space and time. Right? Now I want to examine these things one by one. So let's start with matter. Right? Okay. What is matter? Anything which has mass and occupies space. याद है ना ये अपन ने पढ़ा था 10th में. Anything that has mass and occupies space. I am going to go somewhat deeper into this. Okay, I am going to go somewhat deeper into this because you already know. Because you already know some things, therefore I am allowed to go deeper into this. So what I can say is that all matter is really a collection of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Right? All matter, whatever you can think of, is nothing but a collection of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Right? Matter is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of protons, electrons, and neutrons. Right? Human body is definitely made of protons, electrons, and neutrons. हार्दिक, नहीं तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, ठीक है ना? So, since everything is made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons, there are some weird things that I can tell you. So just like, except hydrogen, हाइड्रोजन में क्या भैया, हाइड्रोजन में क्या इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रोटॉन नहीं होता है क्या? हाँ, हाइड्रोजन तो सबसे बेसिक यूनिट है ना, एक प्रोटॉन एक इलेक्ट्रॉन. हाँ, और उसके आइसोटोप्स भी होते हैं ना, जिसमें न्यूट्रॉन होते हैं. क्या होते हैं आइसोटोप्स? चिराग, क्या आइसोटोप्स होते हैं? आइसोटोप बोलते हैं, आइसोटोन बोलते हैं, मुझे याद ही नहीं. ट्रिशियम या फिर ड्यूट्रियम, है ना? ठीक है, ओके. So everything around us, everything including us, is made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Right? In fact, if I had a hypothetical machine, okay, if I had a hypothetical machine, so this is my machine, and it is like sort of fountain Pepsi type of machine. तो आप यहाँ पे डालोगे मैटर को, कुछ भी डालोगे आप यहाँ पे, और ये मशीन क्या करेगी कि इस मैटर को 3 लंप्स में बांट देगी. लंप नंबर 1, lump number 2, lump number 3. So these are the electrons, these are the protons, and these are the neutrons. Right? Okay. Now imagine in your head this hypothetical machine. What would happen if you were to put a pen inside this machine? जिस पेन से आप लिख रहे हो, अगर आप उस पेन को इस मशीन में डाल दोगे, तो पेन is ultimately made up of neutrons, protons, and electrons. And as the pen goes inside the machine will separate the electrons, protons, and neutrons of the pen and arrange them in 3 little bundles like I have shown. Right? अब पेन डाला मैंने, तो मेरे को एक बंडल मिला इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, प्रोटॉन्स, न्यूट्रॉन्स का. अब मैंने क्या किया कि इसके अंदर मैंने आई डोंट नो, ये रजत बहुत बोलता है, बहुत बदमाशी करता है, रजत को डाल दिया मैंने इसके अंदर. तो जो रजत को जब मैंने डाला, तो वो भी उसके भी इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, प्रोटॉन्स और न्यूट्रॉन्स ऐसे 3 बंडल्स में आ गए हमारे पास. Now this is my question. If I were to pick up a proton from the bundle of the pen, and if I were to pick up a proton from the bundle of Rajat, remember that Rajat is a human being, would there be any difference? Would the proton coming from Rajat be different from the proton coming from the pen? Right? No, it would not. Right? No, it would not. In fact, if I were to take an iron block having the same mass as that of a person, quantity will be different. So that उसी के लिए मैं next बता रहा हूँ. So if I were to take a block of iron which has the same mass as that of a human, and I put this block of iron into the machine, and I put the human into this machine separately, then it may happen that the electrons, protons, and neutrons would be exactly the same in number, right? And if that happens, will we be able to tell the difference? Will we be able to tell the difference कि नहीं नहीं ये इलेक्ट्रॉन तो आया है वहां से और ये इलेक्ट्रॉन तो आया है वहां से? नहीं. Think about that. That's very fascinating. I find it very fascinating because मेरे सामने एक पत्थर है, वो भी उसी चीज का बना है जिस चीज का मैं बना हूं. The only difference is that the electrons, protons, and neutrons in my body are arranged in such a way that I can think, I can talk, I can see, I can understand. Whereas the arrangement of the same electrons, protons, and neutrons are in such a way for a rock that it is classified as a non-living thing. In fact, there was a very famous physicist, and his name was Carl Sagan. नाम सुना है इसका? Carl Sagan का नाम सुना है? Carl Sagan. नहीं सुना है? So Carl Sagan was a very famous physicist, and again he was also a very famous teacher of science. In fact, Carl Sagan is one of those people who has popularized science, who has made science accessible to a lot of people. Yeah, and in the 1970s and 80s, he made a series of television programs called Cosmos, right? If you have seen the recent version of Cosmos, which is hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, yeah. So Neil deGrasse Tyson was a student of Carl Sagan, and as a tribute to Carl Sagan, Neil deGrasse Tyson has made the new version of Cosmos. So if you ever get the chance to watch the original Cosmos, you should. I think YouTube पे available है. तो इसमें Carl Sagan क्या करता है? एक एपिसोड में I remember very clearly that he takes a big container of glass, okay, and in that container he puts the following objects. He puts a lot of water, okay, he puts a lot of water and उसके बाद से he takes a lot of coal, कोयला, coal, right? And he puts the black coal into the water. And then he takes a few nails, iron, keel, and he puts that in. And he takes few pieces of chalk, जो white chalk होता है जिससे बोर्ड पे लिखते हैं, उसको डाल दिया, ठीक है. उसके बाद उसमें थोड़ा सा नमक डाल दिया और उस सबको मिला दिया उसको. Right? And then he says that this mixture is very important. Can you guess why? Water, coal, chalk, iron, salt. Yes, very good. Yes. देखा हुआ है क्या चैतल पहले? अद्वैत को मालूम है. हाँ, ये कैसे मालूम है? हाँ, so हाँ, अच्छा मैंने ही बताया. So the slush that he makes is having the exact same, almost the exact same molecules and atoms as a human being. We are made of water, carbon, coal se carbon aayega, iron, right? The red blood cells that we have are made of, the main constituent is hemoglobin, which is made of iron. Chalk for calcium, our bones are made of calcium, right? And salt, because we do have some ions, sodium, potassium, running around. So नाइट्रोजन कहाँ है भैया तुम्हारे शरीर में? नाइट्रोजन नहीं है कहीं. So अच्छा ठीक है, गलती कर दी उसने. So basically again the thing was that there is a collection of atoms and molecules which is arranged in such a way which can think, and there is a same collection of atoms and molecules which is nothing but non-living slush. Okay, so now we come back to our original discussion. Okay, and I just want to rub this out for now, and I want to ask you that matter is made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons, right? So all electrons, protons, and neutrons have two distinct characteristics. हम लोग ये कर चुके हैं पहले, I think मैं बता चुका हूँ ये सब, but फिर से, what are the two distinct characteristics? Mass and charge, right? Okay. So my conclusion is that our universe is made up of these 5 objects: mass, charge, energy, time, space. These are the fundamental building blocks of nature, right? And if we have not had this discussion before, can anybody tell me what is mass? अरे मास क्या है पहले ये बताओ. Mass is the amount of matter. मैटर क्या है? मास तो एनर्जी है. क्या बोल रहा है भाई उत्कर्ष? नहीं नहीं, सी व्हाट आई एम आस्किंग इज, अब इनर्शिया क्या होता है फिर? इनर्शिया क्या होता है? अमाउंट ऑफ एटम्स प्रेजेंट. डेंसिटी एंड वॉल्यूम? नहीं नहीं भैया, ना 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 ना. टाइप ऑफ मोशन. मास इज अ टाइप ऑफ मोशन. क्या बोल रहा है श्रीकांत? चलो मैं आंसर बता रहा हूँ, मैं आंसर बता रहा हूँ. So mass is the amount of matter. अच्छा, okay. Mass is the amount of matter contained in a body is not really a good definition, because the next question that I would ask is what is matter, and your answer will be that something which has mass and occupies space. This in physics is called a circular definition. Mass क्या है? Matter. Matter क्या है? Mass. Mass क्या है? Measure of inertia. Inertia क्या है? Measure of mass. Right? This in physics is called a circular definition. You're not really telling me कि mass क्या है. You are just deflecting my question to another word. And when I will ask the meaning of that another word, you will tell me, or you will take me back to the word mass. Right? Now, mass is a very mysterious thing, and I'll tell you why it is mysterious. How will we know the answer? Yes, I'll tell you the answer. So mass is a very mysterious thing, right? And the reason why I talked about electrons, protons, and neutrons is because I wanted to show you that this property called mass is originating from the property of mass of an electron and a proton and a neutron, right? So the mass of your body is literally the sum of masses of the electrons, protons, and neutrons in your body. Now, unfortunately, you simply cannot break open these particles and see inside. जैसे हम एग को जैसे ब्रेक करके अंदर देखते हैं, अच्छा हाँ इसके अंदर ये है, तो ऐसे आप इलेक्ट्रॉन को अंडे की तरह फोड़ के अंदर नहीं देख सकते हैं कि हाँ अरे हाँ ये देखो ये मास है. So the mechanism which generates the property of mass is safely hidden within an electron. Okay. So what is mass? I have absolutely no idea. And neither does anybody else. Okay. What is mass? ये क्वेश्चन आपको कोई आंसर नहीं कर पाएगा. There have been recent researches about mass, the prime research being that of something called a Higgs boson, right? If you follow the news, then some years back, right, there was a physicist called Peter Higgs. He had invented or discovered a mechanism to explain mass, and his theory was experimentally verified. But we will not go there, right? We are studying physics at a very basic level, and still my statement stands despite that theory, that we do not know at a very fundamental level what is mass. So we know that how mass will behave. We know that mass follows a universal law of gravitation, right? In fact, you have studied that formula, F is equal to gm1 m2 by r square. It was given by Newton in the 1600s. And using this formula, I can predict many things. I can predict if I drop my pen from the window, how long will it take to reach the ground? I can predict using the same formula how to launch a space shuttle to the International Space Station. I can predict using the same formula how to launch a rocket to the moon. I can predict using the same formula when the next solar eclipse will occur, when the next lunar eclipse will occur, what is the time period of rotation of the planets around the sun. ये सब मैं predict कर सकता हूँ, right? All of this I can work out, no problems. But if you ask me what is mass, then at a very fundamental level, I have absolutely no idea what is mass, and nobody else does. Nobody else does. Mass क्या होता है, ये किसी को नहीं मालूम है. Okay, so let's try our luck with charge then. What is charge? What is charge? Can anybody tell me what is charge? नहीं, energy नहीं है. नहीं, charge is not energy. Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes. Now you're getting the. So charge is also something which we do not know. What is it? It is a property that has a mechanism of origin which we don't know anything about, because this mechanism is within an electron or within a proton, within a neutron. So we know that there are two types of charges. We know that unlike charges will attract and like charges will repel. And we also know the value of the force between two charges. It is absolutely the same as the force between two masses. It is F is equal to K Q1 Q2 by R square. And using this formula, I can predict a whole lot of things. In fact, when you come to class 12, a major portion of the syllabus will be talking about the behavior of charges, right? But what is charge? I have absolutely no idea. Using the knowledge about charge, we have built so many things. The device that you are listening and attending this lecture on, the fact that you can attend this lecture is because of the knowledge of charge, because of our knowledge of charge, right? But charge है क्या चीज? फंडामेंटली चार्ज कहां से आ रहा है ये हमें बिल्कुल ही नहीं मालूम. लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट थिंग, एनर्जी. लेट्स होप इसके बारे में हमें मालूम क्या होता है भाई एनर्जी. व्हाट इज एनर्जी? एनर्जी इज द capacity to do work. Exactly, yes. Energy is the ability or the capacity to do work, right? And what is work? हाँ, बिल्कुल सही. हाँ, what is work? What is work? Force into displacement. Yes. Work is force into displacement. And what is force? And what is force? Mass into acceleration. And what is mass? Yeah. एनर्जी की भी कहानी खत्म हो गई. एनर्जी क्या है ये तो नहीं मालूम है, लेकिन एनर्जी के बारे में बहुत कुछ मालूम है. एनर्जी इज कंजर्व्ड. एनर्जी कैन बी ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड फ्रॉम वन फॉर्म टू अनदर. ये सारे डेफिनेशन आप क्लास 9 से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं, 8 से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं, इनफैक्ट 6 से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं. लेकिन एनर्जी है क्या चीज ये किसी को नहीं मालूम. Nobody knows. Einstein figured out that matter and energy are the same, right? He figured out that matter can be converted to energy and energy can be converted to matter, right? In fact, there is no difference between energy and matter. But what is energy or what is matter is a question that he could not answer because nobody knows. Time, इसके बारे में तो बात ही ना करें क्योंकि ये तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं मालूम है क्या है. स्पेस बिल्कुल ही नहीं मालूम है क्या है. Right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that समय भगवान है. वो महाभारत में नहीं आता था मैं समय हूं. टाइम इज एन इल्यूजन. लो भैया चले फिर मैं रखूं, फिर मैं जाता हूं सोने. फिर इल्यूजन ही है जब. So the fundamental building blocks of nature, right? The fundamental building blocks of nature are things which we do not know about. All the current research that happens in physics is trying to, which happens in theoretical physics, is trying to explain or is trying to search the truth behind the questions that we have just discussed. What is mass? What is charge? What is energy? What is time? What is space? Right? So some people invented something called the string theory. You may have heard of it. The whole purpose of this theory is to explain the questions that we have just been trying to answer, right? And they have not come any closer to the truth, okay? So we do not know these things We know their properties. So for example, when we study motion, we'll be talking about space and time. When we study Newton's laws of motion, we'll be talking about mass, space and time. When we talk about the work energy theorem, we'll be talking about energy and mass. When we talk about electrostatics and magnetism, we'll be talking about charge. And very oddly, when we talk about optics, we'll be talking about charge and energy. And all the topics of physics that we'll be discussing are basically permutations and combination of these fundamental building blocks. So we know how they behave, we can exploit how they behave, right? The device you are holding in your hand is proof of the fact that we can manipulate these things in pretty much however we want. But what are these things? Remember, हमें नहीं आता है. Next time when you are unable to do a question in physics, this is what I do. मैं भी यही करता हूँ. My suggestion is, next time whenever you are unable to do a question in physics, and all of you I hope have faced that in the past 2 months, whenever you are unable to do a question in physics, just think कि वैसे भी किसी को कुछ मालूम नहीं है, तो मैं क्वेश्चन कर पाऊं या ना कर पाऊं कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, राइट? जब किसी को भी फंडामेंटल चीज मालूम ही नहीं है, तो मुझे नहीं आ रहा तो उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ओके, हाँ, चलो. So physics is all about these fundamental things, and we are going to start with the study of motion. And एक मिनट, so मैं उड़ा दूं जरा. And we are going to talk about kinematics. Right? So basically we want to talk about motion. So kinematics is nothing but a description of motion. Now you may ask, why do we start with this? Well, motion is the most common phenomena across the universe, right? Things move, things change. We want to study this change, and we want to build up a mathematical framework to study this change, right? Now, the way to do this is first reduce the complications of the real world. So if you were to take your pen and throw it, अगर अपन क्लास में होते तो मैं सबसे पहला काम यही करता, मैं पेन मारता किसी को. If you were to take your pen and throw it, then the motion of the pen is the motion of something as common as the pen is going to be extremely complicated. As it moves through the space in your room, it will be translating. That means that its position will be changing from one point to another as time goes on, and it will also be rotating. Because of this rotation, And because of its motion, the air around the pen will get disturbed in a very complicated way. And because of this disturbance of the air, and because of the fact that your fan is on, which is already disturbing the air, because of this very complicated disturbances of the air, the motion of the pen will be affected. As the pen goes up, it is going farther away from the earth, right? Therefore, the gravity that is being exerted on the pen will be different as it moves from one point to another. So if I want to discuss accurately the motion of the pen as it moves through your room, we simply do not have the mathematical knowledge of accurately describing the motion of the pen. So what I want to do is that I want to reduce the things that are there in real life, which are complicated, to simple objects, okay, in an ideal place. Motion of the pen, very complicated. Why? Because of the fact that the gravity at different heights is different. Because of the fact that air is present in the room. So what I will do is that I will reduce this complications that are existing in real life so that I can have a simple picture in an ideal location, in an ideal hypothetical, does not really exist location. So I take out the air in the room, air गायब कर दिया मैंने, और gravity को मैंने constant कर दिया. Okay, I'll assume that gravity is constant. Still, the description of the motion of the pen is very, very difficult. Right? Still, you will not be able to, or we will not be able to, accurately describe the motion of the pen because of the fact that it is moving as well as rotating. Therefore, what I will do is that I will stop talking about objects. Gravity zero कर देंगे तो फायदा क्या हुआ? I will stop talking about objects which have linear dimensions. We will talk about the pen. हम बोलेंगे हाँ हम पेन फेंक रहे हैं, but जो हमारे आइडियल वर्ल्ड में पेन है वो रियल वर्ल्ड के पेन से बहुत डिफरेंट है. कॉम्प्लिकेटेड रियल लाइफ में ये जो पेन है, right? Pen is like this. It has length. It has a cross-sectional area. It has structure, right? In the ideal simple life, I crush the pen so that the pen exists at a point, right? So in the complicated life, we have the pen, whereas in the ideal life, we have a point object. So before even we can talk about the motion of the pen, okay, we must build up our knowledge by talking about the motion of a point particle. Once we are comfortable with the motion of point particle, then we can talk about the motion of a collection of point particles, because ultimately the pen is nothing but a collection of point particles, right? So in our complicated real life, we have things like air, we have things like variation of gravity, right? But in the ideal simple life, there is no air, there is perfect gravity, everything is perfect in the simple ideal life. And what we are going to do is we are going to study the motion of this point object, right, in this ideal environment. And slowly we are going to introduce complications which will take us closer to the complicated real life. Therefore, whatever physics we discuss here may or may not translate into the real world. Okay, it may give you non-intuitive results, right? Please be ready for that. ऐसा नहीं होएगा कि मैंने आपको पढ़ाना शुरू किया और आप अचानक से रॉकेट बनाना शुरू कर दो, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला, right? We are learning literally the ABC of physics, and it takes a long time to understand the ABC of physics and then start to sort of work your way upwards in physics, right? Okay. So all of physics, since we are learning a new language, you can say, so all of physics is basically a collection of definitions, right? So we are going to define certain words. Now, unfortunately, some of these words are also used in real life, are also used in our daily lives. But in physics, definitions are watertight mathematical things which you and I will have a common understanding of. So whenever I use a word from the definition in a problem or in a sentence, that you should immediately understand कि मैं बात क्या कर रहा हूँ, किस चीज की बात कर रहा हूँ और उसका definition क्या है, right? एक मिनट. Okay. So the first definition, number one, is that of a point particle, which we have already discussed. But I still want to write it down. What is a point particle? Point particle is a hypothetical point object which has mass, charge, or which may have mass, charge, but no linear dimensions. Right? So even if I talk about a person, basically I'll be talking about a point particle. Even if I talk about a car or maybe a rocket or maybe a plane moving through space, I'll be talking about a point particle. The person moving, the car moving, the train moving, the plane moving, the ball moving, mountain nahi move karta hai Sudeep. All these things we will consider as point particles, right? So these things, when I say These things, when I say, uh, it will be for our understanding. It will be for our comfort. हाँ भाई, आदमी जो है वो पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी चला गया. We can visualize, हाँ भाई आदमी है, चल रहा है, पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी जा रहा है. But in reality, we'll be talking about point objects. Please be careful. Second definition is that of something called frame of reference. Frame of reference is a three-dimensional, right, or two-dimensional or one-dimensional, okay, coordinate axis and a time measuring device. So, मेरे पास अगर एक पॉइंट पार्टिकल है तो वो पॉइंट पार्टिकल की एग्जिस्टेंस will be defined by the location of the point particle, right? We need to locate the point particle, and to locate the point particle we are going to construct a three-dimensional coordinate axis with origin at a particular point that is going to be decided by us, okay? And once we have constructed this three-dimensional coordinate axis, then we can define the x, y, and z coordinates of the point particle. And since we have a time measuring device, basically a stopwatch, since we have a stopwatch in our hands, we can actually start the stopwatch whenever we want. We can stop the stopwatch whenever we want. Okay, that basically means that I can measure the time interval between any two events that occur in this frame of reference. तो एक पॉइंट पार्टिकल पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी पे मूव कर रहा है, हाँ आई जे के टर्म्स में, यस, तो इसीलिए वेक्टर्स पढ़ा हमने. वन डायमेंशन मतलब वन डायमेंशन भाई, मतलब कि सीधी लाइन में चलना. सो once I have a point particle, I can see, I can observe that point particle going from one location to another, moving from one location to another. And the way that I'm going to study the motion is that I'm going to talk about the x, y, z coordinates of the point particle and how these x, y coordinates of the point particle change with the time which is being measured by me, which is being measured by the observer, right? So the observer must be capable of two things: measuring the position of the particle and measuring the time interval between two events. Okay. Number 3. Number 3 is the position vector of the particle. It is sometimes also called the radius vector of the particle. And its definition is very, very simple. It is a vector drawn from the origin to the location of the particle. Right? This is the position vector. Now, frame of reference of point particles, they were part of the introductory definition, but the position vector is a mathematical object right? And for every